What's happening, you guys? Rasati out here in Singapore, and you're back on it here with me on this Night Owl podcast. It has been very, very hectic energy lately. Lots going on. Everybody up in arms. Everybody talking. We're talking about COVID. We're talking about coronavirus. We're talking about Trump. We're talking about Black Lives Matter. We're talking about just a lot lately. And I'm glad. The conversation definitely needs to happen. I finally dropped a couple other videos as far as, explaining my position, trying to help people understand that there are other ways to do this. It doesn't have to be attack each other. So we continue to pass on the hurt. We can actually learn. We can adjust. We can adapt, accommodate, and learn how to actually work with each other a little bit better so we can understand each other, so we can listen a little bit more. In the course of this, obviously, you get attacked as well, though. What you really want to do is make sure that, people are able to voice their opinions, but at the same time, you give them the grace to make mistakes, because you can't always expect for them to say the right words or say the right things and be very articulate. So I was minding on my own business as usual, and I try really hard when I put out content to really think about it. I usually write it or rewrite it a couple of times or re-record it a couple of times just to make sure that it comes out right. To be honest, putting out podcast recordings has been tough for me because I am trying really hard to keep the anger out of my voice. Not to say that I don't want to be angry, because yes, sometimes it becomes very, very passionate, but sometimes when I'm angry, like I'm really affected, I'm maybe just went through something and it pissed me off and I wanted to get on real quick and, send a message. It comes out garbled. It comes out very, very selfish. It comes out like I just want to hurt the whole world. And that's not the message I'm trying to send at all. So I have to check myself. And sometimes I'd be getting through 15, 20 minutes of a podcast episode, come to say something completely crazy. And it's not where I started. I start in one place. I try and give you a lot of examples to justify or explain my position. And then by the end of it, I feel like, okay, well, where I started and where I went was not where I intended to go. And so I need to start all over again. So this happens a lot. I'm trying really hard to get the words right. And even for me, it's hard because it's a very heightened situation. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of my own personal traumas that I'm trying to kind of reconcile and work through again, because like I said, you never completely get rid of it, but you notice it faster, you regain your composure faster, and you tend to not be knocked off balance completely, right? So this is something that we're all working through. Today, I want to talk to you about the fact that sometimes we just get caught up on the words, and there's no way around it, because the word itself has a trigger for you, and you're not always taught to look at the fact that you're being triggered. Instead, you want to go out and quickly attack the other person or set them straight or tell them, oh my God, you claim to be an influencer and you're saying this, this, and this. How could you? And this is where the whole conversation is going for a lot of us, which is taking away from the underlying problem itself. We want people to talk about the fact that it is wrong to treat people like this. It is absolutely wrong and disgusting to see this continually happen to one set of people in the United States. So this has been going on forever. They need to finally, stand up for each other and let people understand that, what, we're standing together in solidarity because Black Lives Matter. It is that serious at the moment. But us bickering about the words we use, the hashtags we use, the tone in which we said it, who are we addressing, why do we bring up Chinese people all of a sudden, what does Corona have to do with this? I need you guys to stop, to slow down, to calm down. If you're going to pick on the words that somebody else used in their video, if you're going to pick on the images they use, or if you're going to check, or okay, maybe not check, because I don't think that's the intention you have. You're not trying to check, you're trying to convince the other person that they're wrong because you feel affected by what they're saying. Please, 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 and I cannot stress this enough, if you're going to have those kinds of conversations, you need to come with a relatively open mind, because it is possible for their perspective to be true at the same time that your perspective is also true. Had a conversation with a guy yesterday that should have taken maybe 5-10 minutes, but dragged out to about 45 to almost an hour. And he was complaining because he was tired of trying to explain to me, apparently, because he was convinced I was wrong. I've used the hashtag, okay, not the hashtag. I didn't use the hashtag. I said it in the video. The very first video that I said, that Black Lives Matter. And I was trying really hard to make sure that people understand where it is that I stand and that I'm not being silent. I'm not being complicit. Sometimes it's the fact that we're being silent while we process, but I did say all lives matter. But I explained my position on that. And he very happily jumped down my throat talking about the fact that you said all lives matter. And according to this one article by Gallagher, all lives matter is equivalent to supporting the police. And I was like, whoa, 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 slow down, slow your roll. I will explain myself. And I sent him another video that I'd posted publicly as well that goes deeper into the concept of all lives matter. This is the ultimate, truest understanding of all lives matter. It's a simple explanation. Now, I understand there are some people out there, when they say all lives matter, they complete the thought by explaining that, you know what, it's not just them, I matter too. And I understand that. But this is why the explanations are so important. When he saw that I sent him another video, he was like, oh my gosh, the video is 17 minutes. I'm not watching that. You need to read this, this, and this because you're wrong. I was like, whoa. I don't mind reading all of these things. And these thoughts are also valid. But if you want to attack me for something I said, you need to listen to what I said. And this was the whole argument, basically. I was trying really hard to let him understand that I explained myself. And I have plenty of people who are supporting me who happen to also be Black, who have no problem with anything that I said. I have plenty of people that finally understand, hey, okay, you're not excluding everyone else, you're including them, but right now the urgency is to save this group of people. And they understood and they got it. And I wasn't here trying to convince him that I was right, but I was trying to get him to actually possibly accept that there might be another point of view. To which, of course, the conversation escalated and he told me that, opinion has no place in, educated discourse. And I'm thinking, you know what, though? You're tripping over a word. And in your opinion, that word means something. But in my opinion, that word means something else. And I gave you my definition so I could clarify what it was that I meant. I did not want to leave anything vague. I'm not jumping on a bandwagon. I'm not using what's trendy. I'm trying to explain, because there are plenty of people, when someone says pro this, they automatically think everything else is anti. And that's not what I'm saying at all. Everyone matters. Everyone is important. I'm not saying right now you don't matter at all, go jump off a cliff because Black Lives Matter. That's not what I'm saying. I need people to understand. I am trying to make sure that you know you're important. But right now, the urgency, the severe urgent matter right now is how Black people are being treated in the United States, because they can't walk down the street without being persecuted. It's gone back to that now. It's no longer civil. It does not feel civilized at all. And that is dangerous, because young people are the ones getting shot. Young people, because they're so tall, they're so grown, they're so big. You can't tell age by looking at them, but they are young and they don't know any better. And yes, they're mouthy and they don't know any better. And this is the problem that we're having. And I'm terrified because my son is about that age, and he is mouthy and he is tall and he's well built and he looks like he'd be a lot older, but he's not. And so, yeah, this right now is very, very urgent. I need people to understand the words will come out wrong during a time like this. But that's okay, because we need to get the sentiment off our feelings, off our chest, I mean. We need to be able to explain how we feel. We need to be able to take a stand and let them know, hey, this is not right because I feel it is infringing on someone's personal right to live. This is part of the reason I used the Declaration of Independence in one of my videos. I wanted to point out the fact that, you know what, we've been through this once before. White people have been through this once before, and they should remember what it was like, right? To be ruled by somebody who wasn't even in the country with them, making laws and making rules about what they can and can't do and how much money they get to keep after they sell everything, right? And so they found a way to get rid of the person that was ruling them and found a way to govern themselves. But it also states in that same Declaration of Independence that any citizen who feels that they're being persecuted has a right to stand up. They have a natural born right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if any governing body seems to be against that general right, they have a duty, a responsibility to get together and stand up against it. Because these are unalienable rights, that all men are created equal. And that was meant to be a loosely formed word. It didn't say white men, it didn't say black men, it didn't say only men, it said men, because that's the way they wrote back then. But all humans are created equal. I think it's really important. We get tripped over the words so much. And right now the discourse is only based on opinion. Let's think about this. Any discussion you have, let's talk about movies for a second. If I tell you that I like this movie and you say, no, but I hated that movie, it was terrible, I didn't understand the plot at all. That's your opinion and this is my opinion, but the movie is the movie. The movie is neither good nor bad. It is your acceptance of the reality that it created for you. How did you feel about the movie when you watched it? Because your experiences will either paint it good or bad based on what you've lived through, the things that you've seen before. My brother watching The Help and me watching The Help, we're going to have different experiences of that movie. Both of us would have loved it. I know my brother loved the movie. But for me, it really hit home, and I cried through most of that movie because as a stepmother, I felt like The Help. I felt like I had no rights whatsoever, but I was doing all the work and that blood, sweat, and tears, and my life was poured into these children. And in the end, I had no say whatsoever in what was going on with their lives. But that's me. A lot of people will watch movies like, let's see. Shallow Hal. I don't know if anyone remembers the movie Shallow Hal, right? A lot of people watch that movie and think it's a complete spoof on, fat people. And it has a really great moral that, you really should see with the soul of somebody rather than the physical appearance of somebody. Because honestly speaking, when you love someone, they appear more attractive to you. But you got to get to that place where you love them, right? There is a physical attraction piece right there where you will do a double take and notice them more, but then the more you get to know them, the more you like about them, the more attractive they will become. Which is why when you finally decide, you're not the person for them, or they did something that offends you and you don't like them anymore, you suddenly look at them with new eyes thinking, what the hell did I find so attractive about this person? It happens all the way, all over the world. But some people watch this movie and take a loose translation of the movie and see it as, it's Jack Black and he's just being funny. It was really funny to see, Gwyneth Paltrow as a fat person, as a skinny person. It was really humorous. I liked it. But for some of us who have been through a bullying phase, who have been through some, relationships where people only see the physical body but don't see what you're capable of, don't see your intellect, don't see your wit, that will hit us differently. So this is what I'm talking about. When you trip over words, the word means something to different people, something different to each person. And when this man was talking to me about, opinion has no place in educated discourse, I was like, yeah, I understand where you're going with this, but you chose Gallagher to support your view because you felt, which is opinion, you felt that he was right. Gallagher is one article about what all lives matter, the hashtag, means, but it is a loose interpretation of this same term as at the same time. I don't know why I'm stuttering. My throat chakra is like acting up. But there are many people out there who have used all life matters, and it's not what everyone else is saying it means, because they're giving you an explanation as well. I am one of those people. I am not sitting here talking about, oh my gosh, Black lives matter, but then again, all lives matter because I am brown and my life matters too, and this is the experience I had with people calling me curry. So that's taking it in a different complete tangent, and it's making it very, very personal, where you have no space in this whole protest itself. You have nothing to contribute except to pull the attention away from them to take it onto yourself. There are people like that, but that's not what I was saying. The words will trip you up. It's natural. Why? Because everyone's up in arms, everyone's retweeting, everyone's shaming each other, everyone's pointing out all the flaws in someone's paragraph that they wrote or whatever, and people need to understand. You are entitled to your opinion. Your voice still matters. And if you aren't given the space to be able to say what you feel, silencing you does not change your behavior. Silencing you does not educate you. It only helps you cling to your beliefs a little bit stronger. And what I was trying desperately to do was to give him another perspective to consider. I wasn't saying you have to believe what I'm saying. I wasn't saying that you're wrong, I'm right. I wasn't there to convince him that he was an idiot. He was doing a really good job by himself, actually. But what I wanted him to do was consider that someone could explain it in such a way that it does not mean what everyone else is saying it means. The only person that can defend their word is the person who uttered the word in the first place. That's all I wanted to say. So the next time you hear someone say something wrong, ask the question, wait, you mentioned this word. What exactly do you mean by that? I remember once upon a time, I used a hashtag unicorn. And my brother pointed it out and said, oh my gosh, you know what? You can't use that hashtag because I don't think it means what you think it means. And I was like, well, okay, what does it mean? Because I was thinking unicorns are rare. They're actually mystical creatures. You'd be hard pressed to find one in Earth at the moment. So I was thinking I was rare. But at the time, a unicorn had something to do with the LGBTQ movement, and I didn't know. So he was worried that if I used the hashtag, people would assume that I'm part of the movement. Actually, I am part of the movement because straight people are part of the movement, and I do support them. But that's not what that meant, is what he was trying to tell me. The way he approached me was not to belittle me. It was not to shame me. It was not to put me out in front of the entire universe to tell me, well, you use this. and that's not what you think it means, and you're being stupid or whatever. He told me, he took me aside quietly and he adjusted my crown, is what he basically did. He did not shame me in front of everyone. He adjusted my crown. And that's basically what I did as well. The comments that this man started posting were on my post itself. And I have no problem. I have no problem with people who want to post on my post. But in order to actually educate him, I pulled the conversation aside and put it in his DM and I said, hey, I know you have a problem with the word all lives matter, but I'd love for you to watch this to see what I actually explain about. From there, he decided he was going to educate me instead. And I should have realized in the beginning that there are some people who come into a conversation hell-bent on misunderstanding you because there can be no other reality except for theirs. Because if there were, it calls into question a lot of their beliefs and a lot of the things that they've built their lives around. And I get that. I understand. But I tried my level best anyway. And it sucked me into this argumentative vortex. But eventually I just gave in and I said, you know what? When he finally said that, opinion has no place in intelligent discourse, I had to stop and I had to say, you know what? Actually, all discussion is based on opinion. That's what a debate is. How do you feel about pro or con something? You have to feel that position and then decide what actually justifies that position in the first place. It's your opinion. It's the same thing lawyers do. They argue their opinions. In this particular case, these case studies actually support my position on this topic. There is case law to support this. That's why I'm taking this position. This is why lawyers have to be so good that no matter what case comes before them, they need to be ready to argue both sides. And a lot of times in order to win the case, they need to know both sides, what the other side is going to bring to the table so they can make sure that they have a rebuttal ready. I should have noticed that this one person was closed-minded enough not to even hear anything I was going to say. He needed to be correct. And he picked me because he was hoping he could belittle me because he was a doctor. But I'm coming from it as a layman, as a mom, and as a mom, I can't afford to be exclusive. As a mom, I need to be inclusive. I need to make sure that everyone understands they have a place in this world. They really, really matter because all life matters. Animal life, plant life, all life matters. But I got sucked in. And I understand that it happened for a reason. I needed to open my eyes again and realize this is what some people feel. They wonder. There was a moment after that conversation where I wondered, you know what, should I even post anything ever again? Because people are hell-bent on disagreeing. They just want something to fight about. And they're not even fighting about the cause that's really, really important, the one that's really needing all the attention, deserving of all the attention. And if I add to this, I'm going to take away from the matter at hand. And I don't want that. But then I also thought about it. If I was in an abusive relationship, and I found the courage to stand up one time and they shut me down and they made me feel stupid and I decided never to speak again, how would I ever get out of that situation? Because it takes courage to walk away as well. And if I couldn't have the courage to open my mouth, which is really not as stressful as walking away, how would I ever muster the courage to walk away? And that's the part that really sobered me up. So I made another video. The words do matter. But you also need to give the humans behind the words the chance to explain themselves before you jump down their throat. Because a lot of times ignorance is simply a lack of information, a lack of perspective. How do you get perspective? You need someone to give you this perspective, or you need to experience it for yourself. So instead of cutting people down, I would so much rather see people build each other up and say, you know what, I understand the underlying feeling of what you're saying, but perhaps you could use these words instead so that people really hear what you mean. And yes, it takes a big heart to be able to do that. But this is how change happens. You fighting to prove that you're right versus the other person is wrong does not help people want to stand up and say anything. It doesn't help people want to change anything. And yes, right now people want to change. They cannot believe that our earth is like this at the moment. A lot of people are in shock. They can't believe that coronavirus quarantine was what fixed the biggest ozone layer hole in the last 20 years. Why? Because suddenly everything stopped. We stopped moving as much. We stopped using as much. We can't believe that we've been stuck in the house for the last couple of months. Some of us are in abusive domestic situations that we can't get out of. But here we are in a situation where we have no choice but to confront what's going on in our houses. And guess what? Those ugly conversations you're about to have when you confront somebody are not going to have the right words in them every time. Because you guys know each other so well that even a look will trigger the next person. So you can't even get all the words out. But it's meant to be ugly. So please don't get tripped up on the words. Give the other person a chance to clarify. That's what they deserve, a chance to clarify. And if they still don't see it, you can educate them and say, hey, okay, I get what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from. But what if this were to happen? What if you could consider this position? How would you feel then? That's education. A teacher does not tell you what you need to know. They show you where to look and help you understand. At least that's what good teachers do. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments about anything I said today, I did ramble a little bit. I did lose my voice a little bit. But if you have questions, please drop them. I want to talk to you. I want to understand. If you have something private you want to ask me, please DM me. I'm happy. I'm open to discussion. I am not here to judge any one of you. But until the next time, you guys, try your best. It's a lot of energy out there, a lot of negative energy out there. Everyone is upset. And every time somebody shares something else with me, I'm like, oh my God, I can't sit here and watch this again because it's upsetting. I have to unplug sometimes, and I get that. You deserve that too. But please, as much as you can, try to educate people rather than shame them, rather than shut them up. Because unless they stand up and say that they don't believe in what you do and explain why, we don't know how big the problem is. You might be able to find a corner of the problem that you might be able to solve, and you won't know unless people are allowed to express all their opinions. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah? I love you guys. I'll catch you again soon. Bye.